Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you had the merriest of all Christmas and that Santa has been good to you. I just got a couple of perfumes and some clothes, so little bit in pieces, but you know, I haven't been good this year, so I wasn't surprised. Anyways, in this one I thought we could talk about forgiveness. Now, most of the time when forgiveness is brought up, it's brought up in correlation with other people. Okay, when most people talk about forgiveness, they talk about forgiving other people, which in and of itself there is nothing wrong with that, as long as you understand that forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean access. Okay, I do think that hate is a poison that, you know, none of us should harbor inside of themselves. When you hate somebody, you actually do more harm to yourself than you are doing to them, because you know it's going to render you bitter, and then you're not going to do good when you're bitter, you know. But I think it is important with some offenses to forgive without, you know, allowing the person back into your life. So you can forgive them from afar in your heart, or harbor no hate towards them. But it's important to know that with some people, sometimes when the betrayal is too big, we just have to stay away from them. Anyway, that's not what this video is about. This video is actually about forgiveness of self-forgiveness, how to let go of the past, of past mistakes, in order to be able to move on, you know, because most of the time when you are not able to leave your past behind, that makes it very difficult to move forward. You know, it's like someone sinking because they have something attached, an anchor attached to their foot, and then, you know, obviously if you have a huge stone attached to your feet, right, you're gonna have a hard time swimming. You're going to sink. Or, you know, going through life, going through the world with like two huge luggages of, you know, 32 kilos each, it's not possible to move forward when you're harboring that much baggage. So in this one, I thought I would tell you guys how I don't regret anything, and how I've been able to forgive myself for past mistakes that I've made, because, you know, I'm only human and we all make mistakes. Now, this video was actually inspired by a podcast that I often listen to, and in that podcast, the podcaster usually asks the person that he invited toward the end of the video. So he invited like internet personalities, successful business owners, millionaires, and people like that, right? So quite influential people, to ask them how they did it in order to inspire the viewer, right? And towards the end of the interview, he asked them what they regret the most, and what is the one thing that if they were to go back in their life that they wouldn't do again. And most of the time, you know, these people share something which I believe isn't, you know, the worst thing they've done in life. I don't believe that they actually share their biggest regret. This may just be me, but I think that most people's biggest regret is kind of too cringe to share for the world to hear. But I think, you know, most of them, obviously they know the questions before they prepare for the interview, and these are people, you know, this is not their first rodeo. They are quite used to giving interviews, so, you know, they find something like bad enough. But at the same time, I don't believe that, you know, most of the time is the worst thing that they done in life, and they share that, right? So I've been thinking, because I have maladaptive daydreaming, if I was invited to this podcast, what would I say? What is the thing that I regret the most? And I have come to this answer that actually shook me, so I thought I would share it with you, because, you know, it is quite shocking, and it's that I regret nothing. Okay, yes, you heard me right. I regret nothing, and I actually think that those people are wrong. Now, obviously, I have tremendous respect for what they have achieved, but I don't think that if we were able to go back in our youth, we would actually make different decisions. I just don't believe that, because hindsight is 50-50 or 20-20, whatever you want to call it, right? So it's easy for my 35 years old self to tell you, yeah, if I was to go back, you know, 10 years ago, I wouldn't date this guy, or I wouldn't befriend this person, I wouldn't do this with my daughter, or that, or the third. The truth is, I probably would, right? The only reason I'm saying that is because I have been able to see the ramification of those decisions, right? So if I was to be 19 again, I would probably date the same people that I dated when I was 19, because I didn't know better. And when you don't know better, you can't do better. Now, I think the question, or the answer to the question, would be different if the question was, if all things were equal, okay, knowing what you know today, would you have taken a different decision? Of course, everybody would have. But again, most of us, if we were to go back, we would not have the wisdom that we got from our mistakes, okay? So in that sense, mistakes are actually a blessing because they allow you to have wisdom. You can learn something from them. You know, if you are somebody who is reflective and is self-aware, you can avoid, you know, doing the same thing another time, right? Because again, once we know better, we have to try to do better. Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different outcome, is the literal definition of insanity. So let's avoid that. And that's another way to be able to forgive yourself for past mistake, by, you know, acknowledging them, knowing, okay, this was a mistake, this and that is what I learned from it, and, you know, going forward, I'm no longer going to do that. And that's a great way to forgive yourself for the past, because there is nothing to gain from dwelling on the past. When something happened, it happened. Okay, you didn't know better, and it is what it is. No amount of thinking about it is going to change the outcome, because the outcome already happened, right? There's a reason. One of my favorite quote is, when your past call, you don't answer because it has nothing new to tell you. And this is so true. So dwelling on it is not going to help you guys. Also avoid comparing yourself with other people. I know that this is very easy to do today. With social media, we tend to think like, oh, maybe if I hadn't made this mistake like 10 years ago, I would be as far as this person. But point of the matter is, you don't know that, okay? You don't know what a different decision, what exact outcome it would have had. Like, none of us can say that with, you know, 100%. It's just not possible, right? So avoid doing that. Do not compare yourself with other people, and remember that they made mistake too, right? I think that the one thing that we don't take into consideration when we are judging ourselves so harshly is that other people are humans too, the same way we are humans. So they may not have made the exact same mistake that you did, but they made some mistakes sometime, okay? And this is why I actually don't care about the judgment of other people whatsoever, because I may not know what you did, but I know you did something, okay? We all have a chapter of our book that we don't like to read aloud. So, you know, everybody has made mistakes. It's human nature. We all said or done things that, you know, again, if all things were equal, that we would take back, but unfortunately that's not possible. So, you know, dwelling on it just doesn't help. Another thing is, stay away from people who love to remind you of your past. Negative people, this is very, very important, especially if, you know, your mistake was something public, you know. So if you were addicted to, you know, drugs, alcohol, perhaps you were a stripper. Now, I personally don't believe that stripping is a mistake, but maybe you do. It's something that, you know, you had considered a mistake and then you decided to change your life around. Maybe you were a baby mother, so you had a child very, very young at 15 or something, etc., etc., right? This is just semantics. Honestly, the possible examples are too many to name, but whatever your own personal circumstances may be, avoid friends with the shovel, right? You know what they say, when you're trying to bury your past, avoid friends with the shovel. Avoid the friends who love to bring up your past all the time, you know, even though now you're no longer drinking and you become a counselor or whatever. You know, the friends who always bring it up, like every time that you guys are out at the bar or whatever, you know, the boy crazy women who, when men ask you what to do for a living and you say I'm a counselor, they say, oh, do you remember back when you used to be a stripper? Baby, that's not a friend. Stay away from someone like that, because truth be told is, some of these people, there's just nothing that can be done. You know, some of them are very attached to whoever we used to be or whatever, and they need that version of us to keep on living. So some people, if you talk to them and say, hey, I actually don't appreciate when you bring back this, I'm no longer that person, some people may stop. But for other people, yeah, it is what it is. You just have to let them go, because again, they need that. Maybe they need it because it's make them feel better than you, maybe they're the holier than thou type person, whatever that thing may be. You just may have to separate yourself from among them, because some people are a job for Jesus. I tell you guys this all the time. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about in this video when it comes to making mistakes in your life is that do not forget that as long as you are alive, you still have a future, okay? No matter how big the mistake that you have committed may be to you, there is actually a future. You can actually come back from it no matter what it is. I don't care if you actually been to prison. I actually follow these two TikTokers who have been to prison before, and now they're out, and you know, they started creating content talking about, you know, their life in prison, etc., etc., why they've been there in the first place and what they're doing now, and they're trying to inspire people, and you know, they're doing very well for themselves. So see, even after something like prison, which most society, you know, consider as something like unredeemable, where you cannot redeem yourself from. People are able to live a great life afterwards, and I believe both of these TikTokers are actually doing really well financially. So there is a life after, no matter what you've committed, right? It doesn't have to be prison. It could be that maybe you had a child very, very young, right? Remember that GP Henson had her child very, very young, and she still managed to graduate and become an actress. No matter what it is your circumstances may be, again, like I said before, I can't name all examples in this one video. Know that it's possible to come back from that. Do not listen to the haters, the naysayers who are telling you that, you know, your life is over now that this, the third, or that has happened. Okay, keep on moving forward. Try to look for people, inspirations who have gone through the same thing that you've gone through, or did what you did, but were able to course correct their lives, okay, and try to implement some of the steps that they took. Like I said, even if you've been to prison, right, when you come out, remember that you've paid your debt to society. This is really important. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe them jack, okay? You paid your debt to society, so you get to resume your life, okay? It's not to them you did something. It's the judicial system. It was their jobs to punish you, I guess, and they have, and you did your time, and now you're as free as a bird, and you can do whatever you want with your life, okay? And I know that there's a lot of stigma for people who've been inside, and when you come out, it can be very, very hard to find a job. This is actually one of the main reasons why people tend to go back inside, because when they come out, they are so stigmatized that they just rather go back in. And you know, with this economy, in jail you can get medical care for free and stuff like that. Right? So I'm sorry you guys, this is a serious subject. So people actually go back inside because, you know, their family members are the first one who turn on them, and then when they apply for jobs, because most jobs want to hire somebody who's never been to jail, right? It's hard for them to get one. But I'm here to encourage you, again, whether it is the prison thing, or maybe you had a baby very young as a single mother or whatever, keep on going, okay? Keep on applying over and over and over and over again. I promise you, someone is gonna take a chance on you. Someone is gonna want to have you, and from there you can move on and go forward with your life. Shut up the people who constantly want to remind you of where you're coming from. Again, you don't owe them anything. Don't listen to the negativity, simply because you don't have to, okay? And on that note, I hope this video was helpful. You know, we're at the verge of 2025, so I hope that this video can help anybody who is struggling with, you know, starting over, starting afresh, starting new. You know, that's something that all of us, or most of us, want to do every time that there is a new year. But remember that nothing changes until you do. And if you actually want to change your life 2025 and reach most of your goals, then stay tuned for the next video, where I'm going to talk about how to actually, you know, set a game plan in order to achieve most of your goals for the new year. Do not forget to give this video a thumbs up in the comment section down below. Let the girls know, you know, what are your best tips in order to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you have made in the past. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel as well, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye guys, thanks for watching. Mwah.